What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, alongside my co-host.
Mikey Fever, and this is the People's Podcast.
This I like that, brother.
Yes.
This is the People's Podcast. Sorry for the audio on the last one. I know I was sounding kind of weird. Let me turn this mic up more. I sound like Biggie. Turn the mic up. Remember that? Yo,
my mic's loud.
yo. So this is People's Podcast. I like you saying that. We have a lot of pride, so we don't like to say, likes, comment, and share and all that. So we like barely say that. But now we're gonna start saying it because it's a part of the business, right? So
exactly.
Like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, this was all Mikey Fever's idea.
Yeah.
We're gonna beg you guys for money.
Nah, we ain't begging. We doing Kickstarter because we about to take it to the studio, and we realized what YouTube is playing games with us. YouTube is hating on our numbers. I'm gonna say it clearly. They're trying to stop some of our content because they're viewing it as controversial. So we want to take it to a different plateau.
Yeah. So what we notice is that they kind of like when Hassan Campbell was saying it before, I was like, come on, ain't nobody messing with your numbers, bro. Your content sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you're just saying outlandish, crazy stuff. Oh, Tiffany, I like that shirt. What that look like a sister on the front. Let me see that.
You hooroo.
Nice. Soul sister. Nice. So what was I saying? I was saying yeah. So like what they're doing is, I thought Hassan Campbell was fronting about it, but yo, they do YouTube, they mess with your numbers. They do, if you don't know. So we're trying to get this podcast in person. We're gonna have an in-person podcast, and we're gonna still use the StreamYard for people like Tiffany who's in Atlanta and stuff like that. So we are starting a Kickstarter. If you want to donate to our what you call this thing, super chat, please do that, man. We actually right now we really need the super chat right now. Pop it.
Comment, share, like, subscribe. Because this is all funded by both of us, hard workers,
hard work,
our own sweat into it. And shout out to all our guests as well who made it possible.
Tiffany started with us, really.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
yes, she did.
Yep. And it's almost we almost a year into doing this right here.
Yeah, man. Tiffany's RBG all the way.
Yeah. So we're talking about how Black women are overly sexualized in the media, right? And we brought you on, Tiffany, to talk about that. If you have anything you want to start off with, you can.
Flow is yours.
All right. So thank you for having me on here. Thank you. And this is a great subject to actually talk about, how Black women are being over-sexualized, because it's rarely brought up into the conversation. And yes, Black women are being sexualized, over-sexualized in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those ways happen to be through media. But let's go further back. Before media, let's look at the time during slavery. See, people don't want to, deal with that part during slavery. Black women were used as sexual objects, as like some form of breeding machine. Mm-hmm. And then there was a law that was taking place, which was called partis sequentur ventrum. All right.
Say that again. That
partis sequentur ventrum. So partis means, it's a Latin term, right? So partis means offspring, ventrum means the stomach, the womb, and sequentur means follow. So it was a law back during the time of slavery, where the status of the mother is the status of the child. So it implies that particularly on Black women. So if the Black woman was a slave, then the child was going to be born into slavery. So it doesn't matter what the status of the father is. It was more so the status of the mother. Okay. So that was a law during that time period. Right. But yes, so the whole concept of the over-sexualization of Black women did not just start with media. It's been going on for decades. It's been going on for a long time. And then there was terms to describe Black women as whores, you know, excuse my language, bitches, Jasmine,
Jezebel.
yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this always been an ongoing thing. It has always been an ongoing situation. So black women has always been looked at and viewed in a negative light. You know, and it's just that media has perpetuated more because it has become an entertainment to make more money off of black women's over sexualized behavior, the degrading behavior, or you know, the fact that black women get on me excuse me, black women get on reality shows and become very arrogant and violent towards each other. So it brings some form of entertainment and it makes profit. But people, everybody should know that sex sells. So sex is gonna sell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
That's a
saying,
fact.
and that's how this society is structured with that idea. Yeah.
Nah, she right. She right about that. 100%.
So
Corporations use that for marketing.
yeah, you know, even in the fitness industry is like that. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that. You know, in the fitness industry, you know, they kind of look and see like who's who. Like if you're handsome or if you're pretty, your chances of getting a job is like way higher. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
Images.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also if you wear like tight shorts and all of that and all that, like it's a part of the game. You know what I mean? And I it's a part of the game I could never really wrap my head around. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like you know, to try to like kind of like the sex appeal thing. You know,
Yeah.
but that's corporate America, I guess. You know, that's how it goes. So I want to take this back to uh Sarah. What is the name? Sarah
Sarah Bartman.
Partner.
Bartman. Now,
Mhm.
do
The
you
Venus.
now do you guys know any of her history?
Well, I know that her body part was on display, and she was like one of the first to be categorized in a sexual manner.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And see, that was the ignorance of the Western culture, because in the African culture, that's not how she was viewed. She wasn't viewed as a sexual object. You know what I'm saying? Her image was recognized as a beauty, and it was a form of a cultural practice, depending on the tribe that she came from.
Mm-hmm.
But when she got over here to America, she was viewed as a sexual object.
Yeah. Freak of nature.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because she had a big caboose.
Yeah.
Right. You know, big upper part and the back side. Yeah.
But yet they emulated that because there were times in Europe where they wore the dresses with the heavy bottoms. I forgot the name of it, but they emulated everything about so-called black women. They did. Like even now down to like when women get their hair braided, Europeans get their hair braided or they have their lips injected with collagen. They say the ethnic look or something. But back then they used to make fun of our people saying, look at the monkey lips, look at their big rear ends, thunder thighs and all that. But now they want to do it. So I call that's a flattery. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
You know, uh, this conversation can go in so many ways, but I
Exactly.
want to, but I want to talk about. Let's talk about that. So, in the Western world, you would say that they didn't, their women weren't as voluptuous as the women in Africa, right?
Never.
Okay. Now, this is something that because I wasn't there, so I don't know. However, I've seen pictures of Europeans back then, and they didn't really have clothes on. Those women were voluptuous as well back then. So I don't know why. Maybe because the woman was black, she was treated more as like a sexual object because of racism. Maybe
Yep.
that's what it was. Maybe that's what it was, or maybe they've never seen a body like hers in particular.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Now, Europeans, the pictures I've seen, like from way, way, way back in the days, like when women weren't treated the way they treated now,
Yeah.
as like actual citizens. When they treated European women as
Second
like
class.
second class citizens, and they
Exactly.
had them. I saw a picture where they had all of these women on their knees, right,
Mhm.
they were in a line, and all their husbands were in front of them, kind of like over top of them, like they dominated them in this picture. Now, when they were bent down or whatever, their body types were voluptuous. So, like, I just beg to differ as far as European women being like sticks and stuff like that. That whole
No, no, no. I don't say that. I don't,
I don't
subscribe to
think that's
that.
what it is. I mean, but most are not shaped like black women. You see what I'm saying? Most of them don't shape like us, but I wouldn't say that they were built like sticks, and I wouldn't say that. No.
right.
Not
So,
not as curvy. I'm gonna be honest. They voluptuous, not as they don't got the curves.
but I don't know about the see that's another thing that I beg to differ, because I'm in the industry with a bunch of them around, and what I see is nah. It's like it's no, that's not true. They are thick as well. You know what I mean? Some of them really work on it. Some of them are naturally like that. So I think it's probably more. I cannot deny the fact that African women do have some of the best bodies on the planet.
Make a shot
Okay,
for that. That's a fact.
okay, I don't know where the shots are. We get that. All right.
Yeah, they
So,
do.
black women have some of the best bodies on the planet, like probably the best bodies on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So maybe, I forgot a brother. He said, Africa is the cradle of civilization, right? So it has the best of everything and the worst of everything. So Sarah Bart, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Sarah
Bartman.
Bartman, yeah, she probably was something that they've never seen before. She was dark and she had a huge bottom. Maybe that's probably what it was, but how did they treat her is something that I want to get into.
Disgusting.
And they put her body on display, right? Like in was it a circus?
Yeah, she like one of those freak shows. I believe they try to put her in. It's like when they discovered the quote unquote pygmies, had her
Yeah.
on display like on some kind of freak show. People would pay to see her like she was some kind of grotesque being. You know,
Grotesque or
like to them, they view it as grotesque. Like, you want to see you want to see this beast right here. And later on, from my research, I found out that they were sexually assaulting her.
so if they looked at her like a beast, why would they be interested in having
because
sex with her?
because that hate is confused admiration. That's what it is.
Okay.
That's what I view it as.
So she was transferred to different places, right, to be this display of entertainment, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now, do any of you guys know the history, or to further explain or expound on it?
Tiff.
History as far as Sarah Bartman
Yeah,
or
Sarah Bartman.
well, I can pull up the information real quick, like to expound more on the history.
Yeah, sure.
Like, okay.
All that just been it's just disgusting. But they were over sexualizing our women back then in many forms. The slave master will go take the young girls, impregnate them.
Mm. Richard,
Mess with.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead. What Richard was saying?
Richard Neal Bay said, according to a study by Georgetown Law Center of Poverty in Inequality, black girls are perceived. Sorry, black girls are perceived. I can't see. Hold on.
As being more responsible for
As
their
being
actions.
more responsible for their actions, aggressive, angry, and more knowledgeable about sex. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I want to address that. Now in some cases, now I would say that yes, we are responsible for our action. Yes, we are responsible for our aggressive behavior, our anger, whatnot. So I can say that, but then at the same time, where did we pick up all this aggression, action, anger, and this sexual behavior? Where did it stem from?
Mm.
So we gotta look at both sides. So we can say individual blame and society blame.
Mhm.
Okay, which is basically you dealing with person blame and you dealing with society blame. So now on the individual part, yes, because you as the person have to be able to learn how to go through the process of working on your character, working on self, developing yourself, and you don't have to always be confined to those particular behavior traits, right? But then when you're in a society that pushes the narrative, right, they constantly push narratives and constantly push the social stigma about you, especially if you belong to a particular race or a particular class, right? It's kind of hard to weave around the stereotype. It's very hard to do so because you belong to a group of people that's already been stigmatized for the longest. Okay. So it's real easy to say that yes, the women's fault. Women are responsible for their behavior, and whatnot, and I agree to that. But then we also have to look at society playing a part of that too when it comes to stigmatizing.
Yes, ma'am. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, another thing, before we go to your slide, you said black women have always been these vixens, these animalistic, erotic women. Why can't we just be the sexy American girl next door? Tyra Banks on being a sex. Why can't we be the sexy American girl next door? How about let's take sex out of that?
I mean, ain't nothing. Let me tell you something. Ain't nothing wrong with being fine, beautiful, and sexy. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with it. But you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go above or beyond or to the extent where you're desperate for attention. You don't have to do that.
Mhm.
That you don't have to do, because it's already there.
Right. But what I'm
Like
saying is just to take sexy out the
what did
conversation.
Whitney used to say? I'm every woman, it's all in me.
Mm.
So yeah, it's all in me. Yeah, it's all in me. I don't need to go above and beyond. I don't need to meet societal standards just to classify as being sexy because
Right.
it's all in me. It's already there. So I don't have to bend my back and get all these surgeries, the BBLs, the breast reduction, right? The liposuction. I don't have to get plastic surgery just to prove how sexy I am.
Because they're trying to appeal to American standards of beauty.
Exactly.
Well,
Right.
literally,
And
no
that's a
beauty's in the eye of
detriment.
the beholder.
That's a major detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now you see black women walking around with the lip surgery, getting their lips bigger, they getting their nose job, bleaching their skin.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? All these different types of, why do you need them? Well, to be honest, why is it necessary? Why do you necessarily need them? And the
Right.
only thing I can think of is because of the industry they're in.
Oh yeah.
That's why, for the most part. But outside that, we don't really need those surgeries. We don't really need to try to appeal to that dominant culture or this, this Western ideology of what beauty is.
Mhm.
But people don't realize those things hurt us. Those things have set us back. Why you think Black China went to the doctor and removed all that surgery she had on her? Because she was tired of it. She was like, if I'm going to go through the process of changing and become a better person and live a better life, I'm going to have to remove all of this because this was a sign of self-hate.
Mm. So would you say black women being over sexualized possibly change their way of thinking and for them to keep up with the Joneses and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
A
and
lot
then
of that could
also
come
I would
too.
go so far to say and some folks about to be mad. The feminist movement, this
Mm.
whole sexual liberation culture, and what I'm saying, that's itself is a setback. Because why do we have to be sexually liberated? Why we can't have sexual limitation?
They're not gonna like you for that, Tiff.
So why do we gotta be sexually liberated? But the
What does
feminists
that
want
really
to push
mean though?
their narrative that, hey, this whole, what is it, positive body image thing, which is like basically over the sexualizing the woman. This whole sexual liberation, this whole slut walk movement. Why do we need all of that? Why? I mean, why not just bring about sexual limitation? Because it's a lot that's going on out here. It's a lot of things that we're not having a conversation about. We're not having enough conversation about STDs, HIV and AIDS, right? We're not having a conversation about sexual education the way that we need to. But you got people who instead of pushing a narrative about sexual liberation, but not having conversation or having enough discussion centered around sexual education in our community the way it should be.
I respect everything that you said was so true, but you know why they will push that narrative and say why they choose to be sexually liberated, due to the fact that they will be like, men are bragging about how many women they sleep with, they high-fiving, so why can't a woman be liberated as well? I'm just saying this is what they'll push. It's her body, her choice, whoever she chooses to sleep with.
Where does that come from?
That narrative?
Yeah, like maybe did it come from the feminist movement? I feel like it came from the feminist movement.
Yeah, I mean, because it goes back to the whole concept of reproductive rights, sort of. You know what I'm saying? My body, my choice thing. But and like I said, I understand the right to reproduction, as far as like when it comes to certain cases, certain situations, and we don't really want to get too much into that topic. But but I get that. However, I think that you're taking it too far when you talk about sexual liberation without even teaching women how to be more responsible, be more cautious as far as what they doing. You know what I mean? And I think that's a serious detriment. And then my whole thing is, how are you fighting against patriarchy when you're pretty much giving into it?
Ooh.
Like a shot, blood clot.
Because, I mean, think about it. Are you really fighting against patriarchy, or are you really just falling into that trap?
Yeah, because they do what we like. Well, I don't want to say what we like, but they do what men in the Western region, want to see.
Exactly.
They want to see you pop your butt and
right.
Shit, yeah.
So are you really trying to go up against patriarchy? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because it's like you putting yourself in a trap.
Yes.
And I wanted to say oversexualization can also stem from traumatic sexual assaults. If you don't want to touch on that, but a lot of these young girls tend to be victims of sexual assault.
That part. Now that part is deep. That part. Absolutely. And I think because a lot of them, those who have dealt with sexual trauma, I think a lot of them use that as a way to feel like, hey, they gonna get back what was taken away from them, and they
validated
to have that power and control over, as far as like their sexual desires. So they felt like that time when they were sexually assaulted, they had no control, they had no power. They was just taken advantage of. So yeah, we can look at it that way too.
Oh, wait, hold up. Richard Neil Bay got some jewels for us. Two-faced relationship between the CIA and feminism on Google search engineism. The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency appears to suggest using feminism to legitimize its invasion of Afghanistan, which was in its 10th year at time in the eyes of European public.
Yeah, because due to the culture over in most of those Islamic countries, it has that order. The man and the woman is beside him, or however they put it. I don't want to go too crazy on that. And they feel like the women are not allowed to, like, coach. Some women are not allowed to go to school or drive whatsoever. So they push that there. Just like the same thing that happened here with the so-called black woman, the woman's right. But last I remember, that was something the Europeans' wives were facing, not the black woman, because the black woman's on the field working with your black behind. So how you fighting for rights when you were a slave just like the man?
Right, but you know what? I could play devil's advocate and well,
Yeah,
actually just come with the actual facts of the matter. Back then, black women and black men, they say, what you just said, people say that a lot. However, black women have been treated by black men not so great
of
over
course,
the
of
years.
course, of course,
So,
of course.
we can't get, you know what I mean? We can't
Yeah.
deny that, you know what I mean?
All right.
Um, so even the way I don't want to say I was taught, but just looking at my environment growing up and looking at how other men treated women, I thought that it was the right thing, so I kind of followed behind.
Yeah, to be players and all that, of course. Because
Yeah,
think about it, growing up, I remember when I was a teenager, I was like super duper talking love and stuff like that. People made fun of me, even my own sisters. Like, you hear this fool? Like, he's in love. You know what I'm saying? It's like you should want time for that. You should be a player. This is how you supposed to get this chick to do this and that. I'm like, damn,
yeah. So sow your wild oats. That's what they say, right?
yeah. Like
Grow oats, whatever, wild oats, whatever.
yeah, they frown upon love growing up. You know, when a man want to be affectionate and whatsoever. So it's like it's crazy, man. It makes you look at women in a different light. If you don't know who you are until you get older and you learn, you're like, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
And I would say this: the feminist movement has served some benefits. I would say it has served some benefits to women in general. That I will say, especially when it came to the job marketing, when more and more women had more opportunity and variety areas where they can work into the job field, whether if they wanted to work a blue collar job, white collar job, or pink collar.
Mhm.
They had that opportunity. Then you had an organization called Now Organization, which is the National Organization for Women, which pretty much protected women's right in the workplaces. So, so I would say there is some benefits to the feminist movement. However, this modern day feminist movement, if you will, it just have gone way overboard because now what you see that it's creating the dichotomy between men and women, and it's making women look at men as enemies
Mhm.
per se, and not being able to learn how to coexist.
Right.
So it does not teach women how to differentiate between decent men out there and the men who are just out to seek control and taking advantage of women. It doesn't teach women how to differentiate that. What it's doing is teaching women how to look at the opposite sex as the enemy, and the way that's not a way it should work, because we cannot coexist without the opposite sex. We have to learn how to work together
Mhm.
some way, some shape and form. So
Mhm.
what we can do is address the issues that's happening that's have done a great deal of damage to us. Now, as far as black men and women is concerned, and you are correct, yes, there have been black men who have who have not treated women so fairly, disrespected the woman. And let's be honest about it. Since we're on this subject, let's talk about the men who have left their women behind. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? It's just to take care of another household.
Oh
You have
man,
women,
let's talk about that because yo.
who are byproducts of abuse. You
Mhm.
have children who have been abused by their fathers, uncles, etc. So I mean and that's a deep conversation to have.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
you know what I'm saying? But these things have taken place in our community, and we have to really talk about it. But see, we're told whatever happens in the household got to stay in the household. We're not allowed to speak on those things, and that those things are going to bring a major hindrance, not only within the household but also within the community as well. So it has to be spoken about. So what I'm saying, in a way, yes, the feminist movement have brought some form of help. You know what I mean? But the downside of the feminist movement was that black women could not fully participate in it because it was more beneficial to white women, because white women got more of the privilege than black women did with the feminist movement. So black women were kind of left outside in the cold. You know what I'm saying? They felt like they were being used by these white women just so they can appeal like they really trying to bring unity in all women. But at the end of the day, it was more so about their liberation and their primary focus of their rights than it is about women in general. So black women were still left out there in the cold. So black women was like, okay, well, where do we fall in line with this? Where do we fit in this? How do we make our voices heard? You know, so now you see that more white women, you know, made more money. They got more position and they got higher position on jobs, etc. You know, so a lot of them are owning businesses. So it's like black women feel like they just way behind. And you know, and then you know, it's so funny that I brought that up because I seen the show, and I think you guys should get a chance to watch. It's called Tonight's Conversation Live. It's normally on YouTube, but they also have an app. So there's a panel. They have a discussion about relationships and sex, etc., etc. So the conversation was about modern feminism, right? And someone brought up a great question. Someone brought up a question that is feminism a byproduct of white supremacy? That you know, that's something that I never ever thought about in more detail, but I'm starting to think it is, but I don't want to really say, but I'm starting to think so because the way the direction is going and who's reaping the benefit the most.
Okay, so you're saying is feminism a byproduct of white supremacy, right?
Yes, yeah,
Now,
that was the question that was asked on the panel
mhm.
on the show called Tonight's Conversation.
Now this is what I think. Yeah, it is, right? Because the way that I see it, if I'm not correct, let me know. But the way that I see it is the reason why it's a byproduct of white supremacy is because uh, white women were suppressed by white men. Therefore, that had to be created.
It's a fact. Not and, and if you see the symbol of it, what it represented, when you see that picture, the logo with the woman with her arm stretching the muscle and all that.
Yeah.
I didn't see no African face doing that on that logo from back then. So where does that come from?
I mean, we don't necessarily have to flex our muscles, but yeah, but I see what your point is.
Yeah. So now, bringing
hold on, brother Ron. That basically means the woman. I'm not trying to set no division with that. Make it, you know, that basically means that the African woman, you're not part of that struggle. When I see that image, because you know everything goes by image and symbolism to the world, so they see that. I didn't see no sister up there doing the same thing too. You know, that's just for me. I could be wrong.
Right. Well, to now you brought that up, Tiffany, because why'd you bring that up? Just trying to follow your thought, your flow.
You talking about the white supremacy and feminists?
Yes.
Oh, because you know, I was thinking because since we were on the topic talking about feminism, it just popped in my mind. And going back to watching the show that I was looking at on YouTube, well, on this app, it's called Tonight's Conversation Live. And they were having a conversation centered around modern feminism. Is it hindering the Black community? Does it benefit Black women, et cetera, et cetera? And so one of the gentlemen on there, he brought up, he said that, well, what if feminism is a byproduct of white supremacy? And I just had to sit there and just think about it. And I was thinking about it for a long time, for a while. And I said, what if that's the case? So, I mean, so since we having this conversation, I just thought, well, I just share that.
Right. You know, a lot of things that happen in this society is a byproduct to white supremacy, because white supremacy has been the bully for a long time, right? So so a lot of things that we see is a byproduct of white supremacy. I even made a statement a while back about street culture is a byproduct of white supremacy.
That's a fact.
So, you know, that's one thing. The revolutionary mindset is a byproduct of white supremacy. Okay.
Democrat and Republican Party are byproducts of white supremacy. Patriarchal white supremacy, that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of byproducts of white supremacy. Now, is Black women being oversexualized about a product of white supremacy?
I would say yes. I would say yes. I mean, because again, we got to go back to slavery. When we were brought here when our ancestors were brought here to this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when black women, if you study the history, even on the ships, when they were brought here, they were raped. They were violated on those ships on their way here.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they got off the ships and got on the plantation, right? Working in the field, what happened? The slave master will go and he will pick one of those black women that he wanted to mate with, and he'll take them to the house, and what he'll do, he'll violate them. You know what I'm saying? So the over sexualization here in America, as far as black women is concerned, is a byproduct of white supremacy. Yes, because
Okay.
it brought about social stigma and stereotype on black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We didn't call ourselves Jezebels. We didn't call ourselves bitches and hoes. Excuse my language. We didn't call ourselves that. They were the ones that label us as whores, as the bees, as the Jezebels.
Wait a minute. So you say that the origins of those words here in America, as far as the black community is concerned, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
comes from white media, maybe, or
Just from the white culture, white society. Yeah, that didn't come from us. We didn't, you know what I'm saying? Remember, our ancestors didn't speak English, okay? Right, so they didn't know what it meant to be called a bitch or a whore or a Jezebel. You know what I'm saying? They would label as such. They would stigmatize, just like being called a nigga. You know what I'm saying? That was not in our vocabulary. That was in their vocabulary. But what we did, we took their vocabulary and we just deconstructed by dropping the ER and put the A on there to make it fit into our
lexicon.
our community as far as our language. You know what I'm saying? But it still goes back to them. They were the ones that called us that. We didn't call ourselves that. You see what I'm saying? So that's something we gotta be honest about. So when they say that, black women being over sexualized, going back to the point that the person made about black women being over sexualized is their responsibility or whatnot, in a way it's true, but again, it comes from a society that we live in as well. So the society that we live in constantly perpetuate over sexualization of women in general, and particularly black women at that. So, with all these labels, right? Again, we didn't label ourselves these names. We didn't call ourselves these things. That's what was placed upon us, and we just subscribed to it, and we took on these names and use it against one another or use it as terms of endearment. Because you hear black women saying, "I'm a bad bitch," right? "I'm a real bitch." "Oh, do my bitches over there," etc., right? So it's been used as a term of endearment, which is really not a term of endearment at all. But but that's just the way. I mean, that's how it was. That's just the way it's constructed now.
Now I want to go through history a little bit. So we started off with Sarah Bartman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now if we go now, that was a period that was around what, slavery times, if you will, probably.
She was born 1781 and died 1815, I
Yeah.
believe.
No, she was born in 1789.
89, yeah, she died 1815.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Trying.
after Sarah in history, right? In our history with over sexualizing black women. After Sarah, the next person I can remember who was exploited sexually or exploited themselves sexually was Josephine Baker.
Baker. Oh damn, you about to take. I was thinking about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Josephine Baker was art. Man, they loved it out in Europe.
Yeah.
Like but it's that it represented that burlesque look to it, the way she danced and how they had her dress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, like as Tiffany said, has been part of slavery. The black woman had been over sexualized in slavery when they had her mating with the black man just for the sake of producing
Right.
babies for stock.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
understand? So
Yes, sir.
so when she, we weren't there, but this is just thinking in the mind of the person. When they see that a man's weakness is his penis, he's not thinking with his superior head. They'll use it to their advantage. Because you could put like all these men of religious creed whatsoever all have a weakness if they don't have discipline over themselves. is the sexual desires. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? So they realize that if a man could be controlled by that, of course, a woman, if she's in survival mode, is going to use her physical appearance or assets to get what she needs.
Right.
That's right,
Unfortunately,
for the most part, absolutely.
Now,
That's why
Tiff, do you want me to keep the slide up or take it down?
you can take it down. You can
Okay.
take it down.
Now to go now after Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker was what, the early 1900s, right?
yeah.
Now after Josephine Baker, who was next?
Oh my God, who was it? I I I want to say Earthe Kitt, but I don't know.
Oh,
Like
nah. But you
I
you know
don't,
what?
I don't want to put her in that category though. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
Eartha, like she was very radical with it. I mean, not radical as far as like her sexual, not the sexual liberation, but she was very political. She had a political mindset, but
But no,
but Lady Back,
she was crazy with the sex thing though. She was like
I mean,
doing more.
yeah. You
Yeah.
seen her playing Batman in the early, when she played Catwoman in the movie, and doing her little Broadway shows and stuff like that. And
She used Fox, the
you know
lady
what?
Pam Grier as Foxy Brown.
I didn't
Yep.
even know that her and Harry Belafonte had a relationship at one point. But yeah,
Eartha
but
Kitt. Eartha
yeah,
Kitt. But
yeah,
listen, I saw something one time where Eartha Kitt was talking about,
Love.
I think somebody running a
allegedly.
train on her. I think somebody running a train. I think Eartha Kitt was kind of out there with the sex thing. But
Right, but she had see her and Josephine Baker. They both had hardship growing up as children.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That
know the
contributes to
Eartha
that.
Kitt story. She was born in the South, and she didn't really know what her date of birth, like exactly like what year she was born, whatnot. Because back then, during that time, they didn't really have birth certificate for Black people like that. So
That's
she
great.
grew up in a very abusive environment. So she was tortured, and
Wow.
she would talk about how she was sexually violated and how
Mm,
she had to escape and move to New York to stay with her aunt just so she could get away from the hardship she was dealing with in the South.
mm,
And so she got caught up in the club scene. The Cotton Club up there in New York was very popular.
mhm,
So she was going to the Cotton Clubs. She was doing all these, getting caught up, becoming a dancer,
mhm.
singer, and all of that. Then she was introduced to acting. But yeah, she did use her sexual image at all time high. That's what made her a sex symbol back
Right.
then. But
Right.
what people don't know, that Eartha was also, like I said, she was very political, because when they was talking about the Vietnam War, right? This was during the time when Lyndon B. Johnson was president. Okay, and she was invited to the White House because his wife, Lady Bird, she had some type of luncheon, and they were talking about revitalizing or gentrifying the neighborhoods in New York or whatnot, and things of that nature. And that's when she brought up the questions about the Vietnam War. See, back then you couldn't speak on the Vietnam War. If you say anything about that, then you automatically was put on the list, on the government's list, because you spoke
Mhm.
against it. So
Mhm.
she was asking the question. She was like, well, what about the fact that these Black boys are going to be sent off, or those in the inner city are going to be sent off into the Vietnam War. So when the moment she asked that question, that's when Lyndon B. Johnson came in, was like, hold on, what you just say? Like, what did you say about the Vietnam War? So she was blackballed for a long time. She couldn't find work here in America. She had to go overseas because of the fact that she asked one simple question regarding to a war. And this is around 1969. So she ended up being blackballed. So she had to go to Europe to find work. Yeah. But but yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
I
We
want to
can't forget sister Pam Grier.
Pam.
oh yeah, Pam
Yeah,
Grier, another
everybody.
black back in the 70s, black exploitation, yes, the
Yeah,
70s.
black.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They were going crazy about
And then the lady that played Cleopatra
She was
Jones.
super, super.
her. Pam Grier, right?
But
Yeah, she
that's,
was.
I mean, and then we can go so far as saying that a lot of those actresses slept with producers, executive producers, directors, just so they can get a role.
But that's kind of the same thing in the music industry as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With the video vixens and all of that, they sleep with
Mm-hmm.
the artists and things like that.
What's that sister's name? I got one of her book, Corinne Steffen.
Yeah, Corinne Steffens.
Corinne Steffen. Yeah, a lot of people don't like her, because she wrote the book about the confession of video vixen. and she talks about, you know, her sexual encounter with different athletes, musician, etc. So she received some backlash for that.
And then
But
she got with Bill Maher.
who?
Bill Maher.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So how could the, you know, well, so we took them through history, right? We gave them like a brief history. We went from Sarah Bartman. Now we're talking about, we took it from Sarah Bartman to Corinne Steffens. Now it seems as though, being that we have to live in a society with, under European standards and domination, pretty much, we have to kind of like, we're always in survival mode, and we have to do things that we wouldn't necessarily do if we weren't in that position.
Right.
So I'm gonna pose this question to you guys. I mean,
Okay.
man and woman. If white supremacy didn't exist, would black women be over sexualized in the media?
That's a good question, because a lot, like we said, a lot of us were not alive at that point.
Hmm.
It probably would have been a whole different standard of beauty.
Right. I think we would have more control over our cultural practices.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we would have more control over our cultural practices, and you know, as far as like representation is concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I want to
Narrative.
let's look at this. Africa is alive, right? So, you know, they're over there, even though they were still affected by colonial powers, they still live there, right? And they have their own societies. Now, out there in Africa, of course, you know, in Africa, it's 54 countries, right? So, you know, we could be talking about the whole continent, right? Now, let's just kind of like give it a broad brush. Africa. Now, have you ever seen an African video with a woman shaking her behind, thong out, or anything like
No,
that?
not thonga. I see cultural dancing when they moving
Right.
their hips. It's a lot of cultural dancing now. Maybe with the influence of music, you probably see a little, you know, twerk here. You know, what we call twerking, they doing half naked. No, but I do could say that the standard of European beauty affected Africa, because they do a lot of skin bleaching there.
Mm-hmm.
We can't remove even in the Caribbean. There's a lot of
Well,
skin
that's
bleaching.
another subject. I'm talking about over sexualized.
Nah, there's a lot of cultural dancing.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
an example. That's an example of if we didn't, if we
Yeah,
weren't so engulfed in European society, how it would look.
yeah. We gotta change the narrative.
Now,
Right.
my question to you is, how do we change the narrative? Which, where right now is like, we're in the thick of this. You know, how can we change this around?
Come to NYP and you'll see what happens when we
I
pull
think
out
you
more.
just answer your own question, brother. You just answer your own question. You said
Yeah.
we're in the thick of this. So how can we change it around when we're in the thick of it?
Change from inside. That's what I say. Come to NYP, people. Kickstarter.
Yeah, he kind of
We'll
answered
change
his question right there. He kind of answered his own question with a question.
it.
Okay, I'll be explain what you're saying.
Okay, because you just asked, how can we change the narrative when we are in the thick of this?
Mm-hmm.
Keyword, we are in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So it will be hard to change the narrative collectively, basically.
Yeah.
But now what we can do is set the example. And there's people who have tried to set the example of showing black people in a different representation, in a different light, as far as like academically is concerned, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have people that actually do that, but do they get the mainstream recognition? No, they're not gonna gain the mainstream recognition like that. Nope, no.
Mm-hmm.
But they are setting the example, and there are people you can look up on YouTube channels, right? Or you can watch on PBS documentary. You know what I'm saying? Where you can see black people are shown in different representation. You can see black people are being historians, black people are scientists, black people are educators, activists, um,
Mm-hmm.
all these different things, all these different accolades, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see black people representing, but again, they're just not getting the mainstream recognition. because we're in the thick of this. So it's going to be hard to put our foot in it. So, but you can always just lead by example.
Yes,
we can. We got it.
Yeah, you're right. Now here's the thing. I think the way things can change around, even in the thick of things, is I think that in order to change the narrative, we have to be unique, creative to change the narrative. We have to give Black women an image that they could look up to, that they know and that they could see as pretty and sexy, still and modest, and take that image all around the African diaspora and make it popular.
There was an image like that in the 80s that we had. Claire Huxtable. She was bad. You remember that?
Felicia Rashad.
Felicia Rashad.
Yeah.
Yes. We had her, and we also had
Shahrazad Ali is not bad looking at all.
Shahrazad Ali. Somebody remember around your other crush that I was like later on, I'm like, she's bad too. No disrespect.
Who?
You said Miss Deb. He's like, Miss Deb was bad. She's a beautiful woman.
Oh yeah.
Miss Deb, who's
Yeah.
You know, I forgot.
Throwing me up like that.
What's the lady's name that played on Good Times? Esther Rowley.
That's the role.
Phenomenal woman. Yeah, very proud Black woman.
Yeah,
of course, man. We got, because you know what it is, because with that oversexualization, it came. Yeah, Angela. Yeah, you're right about that.
Nina Simone, yes.
Nina
Simone was bad.
Yeah.
Nah, hold on. Nina Simone. I don't really.
She was a blues singer.
Yeah, I don't like the way she looks though.
Why?
Attracted to her.
I don't know.
Bro. I don't know. I mean, that's preference. It's preference. Taste.
As she got older, of course, she changed.
She changed, but there's quite a few out there.
But but when she was in the 60s and the 70s, she was phenomenal looking.
Patti LaBelle was too.
Patti LaBelle. Anita Baker.
Oh, Sade.
Yeah. Yep, Sade was good. Sade. Quite a few of them out there were, what I'm saying, very modest with it.
Modest. What's her name? Erykah Badu. She was modest with it.
I love Badu. Don't talk about Badu. That's my wife, man.
Very modest with it. Yeah, from the beginning. Yeah, very modest.
Angie Stones, India Arie.
That's the other sister from Philly.
Who you talking about?
Jill Scott?
Jill Scott, man.
Jill Scott, India Arie. Yeah.
I'm not into India Arie, but I do like Jill Scott though.
What's wrong with India Arie?
I'm just not. I don't know. You know what it is? Well, maybe this is not for the show. I don't care, man.
Okay, I understand.
Like she's just thin. She's thin. I'm not really into.
I got you. Yeah. Well,
not really into like thin women and all that. You know what I mean?
It's not your fault. The Caribbean. I understand too.
Oh, man, that's a singer named Ledesi. She's from New Orleans. I don't think y'all ever heard of her, Ledesi.
Ledesi, yeah, I heard of it. Ledesi,
very phenomenal. So it's very beautiful. And Fantasia, I love Fantasia. Look, okay, she. And when I tell you she slays, she kills it with the image, with the look she got going on.
Yeah.
Okay, the short haircut and all that. I'm like,
she changed. She changed a lot.
You know who could be pretty.
She had a short haircut, but baby girl, she killed it with all kind of short haircut styles.
Yeah.
When I say she got her own flavor, she got her own flavor.
You know who's pretty, but who does too much? Like they oversexualize, and I think they clown her at the same time. That big girl, Lizzo, the heavy set. No. Don't.
Lizzo, I'm not gonna lie, Lizzo, cause she's
pretty. She's pretty.
She's not bad looking at all, and she's super talented.
Lizzo kind of did that to herself because she wanted attention.
Yeah. So what happened to Lizzo?
I don't. I guess she kind of stayed out of the spotlight. That whole situation she was dealing with. That the whole
Aries Spears. When Aries Spears took a shot at her, she kind of like.
Right.
Oh, Aries Spears took a shot.
Yeah, he did.
Right, and she was accused of mistreating her dancers, and she allegedly made them do things.
Oh, really?
Uncomfortable. Yeah. It was they had that on the news for a while. how her dancers started coming out talking about how she basically mistreated them, allegedly. So
Wow. Okay, I didn't know anything about that. But
yeah,
she, that's what that, not having knowledge of self and getting into that business, that's what it'll do it to you. It'll
yeah,
twist
that's
your
that
mind all the
Hollywood
way
thing.
up.
Yeah, that Hollywood. Hollywood is a dangerous drug. Somebody put that on there. Fame is a hell of a drug. It is, and Hollywood is dangerous.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh wow, I forgot about the chat because I was looking at this thing over here. Irie, Irie came in there with fire.
Yeah. Fame is a hell of a drug.
Fame is a hell of a drug. Yeah.
It is.
Hollywood supremacy. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So back to being over sexualized. We took you guys from Sarah Bartman all the way up into now into women who were modest, and how we could possibly change it. It looked like you had a look on your face when I said, we could change the image and take it around the African diaspora and make it popular, and maybe we could change it that way. And then you had a look on your face, Tiffany.
Now I had a look on my face when you said something about India Reed was skinny or something. I'm like, huh?
Oh, yeah. I think she's. Am I bugging? She's not skinny.
she's well, she's not skinny, but she's tall, and she's like what I
She got
call
some,
slim thick, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Like
Slim thick. Okay, slim
yeah,
thick.
slim
Okay.
and kind of thick in areas. Like she's beautiful. She's shaped like a Coke bottle, if you wanna, I guess, like like
Okay.
a Coke bottle
I
shape.
am not my hair.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? She's some one that Kevin Samuels would rate her weight and say, okay, she's at the right weight. See, my standard, my standard for weight is Kevin Samuels wouldn't like my standard for weight.
Yeah, he'll kick us off the station because
Yeah,
I'll be like,
he'll kick us up the state. Yeah,
'cause
yeah. He'd be like, nah, you guys, no, we're not.
I would have told him I start from 150 to 300, brother.
He said 300. Yo, Mike. Yo,
Listen,
he ain't lying, dog.
now I'm being
I
honest with
wonder
you.
how much did he weigh before he passed away? I want to know
Yeah,
how
but
much.
now before that, when I was younger, it was 150 to 300, 350.
Now I wonder how much Kevin Samuel weighed.
Yo, Irie's
Before he
like,
passed.
yo. Yeah.
I'm 6 feet. I'm a six. Yeah, I'm a tall guy. I got weight on me.
Yeah, yo, yeah. So, yeah. 300 though, Mike. Like,
Listen, I've done it before, brother.
that's going a little too. That's a little too deep. There,
It's like a Royal Rumble for me.
you got to be over 6 feet, 300 pounds now. Come on now.
No, you gotta be like 5'5" to 5'9". Yeah, but yes, over 6 feet too. But you
Nah,
gotta be.
you can't have a girl 5'5" and 300 pounds, bro. That's gonna look crazy.
Done it before.
Not
Well,
that's
next. We go next show. Done it before.
what-
Next show.
No, we having fun, man.
Nah, I done it before. I said next show.
Oh, you done it before next show. Yo, but yeah. What's it called? NDI not my thing. But yeah, you said she's pretty. I gotta look again, man. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
mean, I just think she's pretty. I
Mhm.
think she's pretty. I think she has a Coke bottle shape. If you know how that old Coca-Cola bottle used to be, that's how I think she's a pretty woman. So,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know, I
But you
think
know what?
she represents that standard of beauty.
Mhm,
One of the few women's, or one of the women's in our community, rather, that
mhm.
represent the standard of beauty
Right.
for Black women. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Now, any other women we want to talk about? I want to really talk about women a lot. Whenever I don't want to put you in a box, Tiffany, but because you're a woman, I definitely covering up women won't change anything.
I
This is
mean,
Oh, Suli
no, it doesn't.
Ramadan.
You're right. You have a point. It doesn't change anything, but again, we have to be able to, represent our own standard of beauty instead of just going by society standards.
right,
You know,
and it's not a matter of just
every
covering.
woman don't want to walk around showing off her body parts either. Everybody don't want to show off their, the upper part of their chest or the back side or anything like that. Everybody don't want to show that.
Right. And it's not only about covering women up.
It's protecting yourself as well.
It's no, not that. I was saying it's also about shaking ass, thongs out, like titties out. Like you don't have to do that. Like if you go on Instagram, right, you'll see a bunch of women shaking their butt in the gym, squatting with tight pants up their behind. Like, listen, I'm a man, heterosexual, of course. I love women. I don't want to see that though. I don't want to see that all day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's good. Okay, you see something. All right. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, that's great. And then you keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But every it's like
they want attention. Some of them do it for attention.
It's oversaturated. It's oversaturated with that.
Seeking validation.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Hold on. What if it ain't for you though, brother? What if it ain't for me? I don't get your point, because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just our image in general. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about me. It's about our women and the way they're depicted in society, and we're trying to figure out how we can change the narrative from them being over sexualized to a little more modest. Okay, look at Arab women though. Exactly. I've never seen it's like a few videos surfacing of Arab women with a hijab on and all of that, shaking and twerking and all that every now and
I have seen that recently.
Oh yeah, I seen that. I forgot what country that was, but yeah, they got the Arab women up there twerking and all of that. I think it's like at a masjid or somewhere.
Yeah. I think I saw that. Yeah,
Inside of masjid.
I think it was. It looked like a masjid. It was a bunch of men in there.
But it's in some country. I know it's not in. I know it can't be in Saudi Arabia because they ain't gonna allow that.
They're not playing.
It could be Dubai because over there.
Probably Dubai.
It could be there. It could be there. But you know that's the whole point. Of what we're trying to figure out here. Just like you said.
Someone said cover up and
still abuse still.
Okay. Now I want to say this. Now, yes, I do agree that covering up is not going to help a situation. No, you know what I'm saying? Because anybody can still be abused, but the question is like how to not be over sexualized. That's the whole question. And as we would mention, I don't know if you just got here, but you know, we basically spoke about how pretty much it's a societal blame. You know what I'm saying? It could be looked at as an individual blame, but it's also a societal blame. And it is a societal blame because of how women being portrayed in society, especially a culture like here in America. You know, so yes, only thing we can do as far as representation is concerned is to set different standards and show that, you know, show women in a different light outside of being sexual image or sexual object. You know, that's the only thing that we can really do, but we can't like dismantle the whole culture of the idea about women being sexualized, because as the brother mentioned, we in the thick of it. So by us being in the thick of it, it's kind of hard. But I will say this, you know, if the feminist organization is going to continue to perpetuate the concept of sexual liberation, then that's not really helping either, because that's putting women into that trap. You know, so why not just bring about sexual limitation as opposed to sexual liberation?
Right. Now it says like when you're talking about the shaking ass and how women dress, America itself is over sexualized. Exactly. That's like the sister just mentioned. We're in the thick of it. That's the whole point.
We addressed that earlier. I said that's a cultural thing.
She probably just got on.
I just got on. He or she, yeah. We addressed that earlier.
Yeah. Let's go with this question right here. Oh, yeah. Y'all also talked about stripper culture in the past shows, pros and cons, more cons than pros. Stripper culture. I would say it's more cons than there are pros.
It is. I mean, if we want to get really nitty gritty about the stripper culture, it is a lot more cons than pros to it. You know,
a lot more cons.
Hear about it or not, but it is a lot of cons out there.
I'm gonna give a con.
You can really go deep into like the stripper culture, and But a lot of people ain't gonna like that. A lot of folks ain't gonna want to hear that because
because they're gonna say you're attacking the way they earn money. If you got a problem the way I make my money, you come pay my bills then.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one reason why the stripper culture.
We got to really get honest about it, because now you got to ask yourself, like, well, what's really the difference between being a stripper and a prostitute?
That's a fact.
Well, that's another subject. That's another subject, though.
Huh?
That's another subject. But I want to say this. I want to say this, right? The con of stripper culture, right? To make it a culture where it's publicized and put out in the media as it so much, the con about it is young women, young girls see this and they think that this could be a route for them to take, when it's really not a necessary route for them to take, because there are so many other routes to take. So when the media uses this to sell records, to sell sex, it influences the youth, and the youth follows suit, and basically that's a con right there of stripper culture.
And I want to say this: it's not no disrespect or shade to the sisters out there who are indulging to the lifestyle of prostitution and or being strippers, because I understand. I get that's why I don't, necessarily speak harsh on it or poke fun about the situation, because you got a case where that's all they know as a hustle. As far as like showing off their body parts or indulging to activity, sexual activity. So it's no shade or disrespect to those sisters out there at all. So I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, we disrespecting women who are strippers or who are in this lifestyle of prostitution. But if we ever have this conversation, then that's when we have to pull back the layers and we have to be really honest. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be very hurtful and it's going to be a very uncomfortable topic. But we really pull back the layers and deal with the origin of it, of all of this. You know what I'm saying? You will see the point. But again, it will, it's not going to be a very comfortable subject to really talk about. It's not going to be very pleasing. You know what I mean? When you get into the nitty gritty part of the history. So that's why, and the example is, what's the difference between prostitution and stripping? Now, I mean, there is some difference, but there's a lot of similarity too. And then
it's a thin line
between a pornography and and prostitution and stripping. I mean, again, you will see a lot of similarities in all three, but there are some differences, but there's a lot of similarity. But again, that will be another subject that you have to touch deep on, like really deep, go into details.
Yes, ma'am. And you know what? I think the next time, I don't know if we got enough ammo to really go into this subject again next week. I would love to. This is a really deep subject, and it seems like quote unquote people of color, right, or so-called black people, are always late to things. So
yes.
What they call it?
We operate on color folks time. That's what they say, color folks time.
Yeah. So it seems like these lives get cooking later on. So I think can y'all talk about this again? I want to bring some more context to this conversation.
Oh yeah, we have to
talk about it.
Yeah. We could talk about stripper culture, prostitution, and pornography, all that, because we didn't go into Hugh Hefner.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? We
Playgirl.
Yep. And then later on that morphed to straight stunting.
Yeah. Straight Stunting magazine. That's a new.
I ain't never heard that magazine.
Mike is laughing because he had the points.
Now I remember seeing those DVDs, like like
I probably don't even remember.
Like the bootlegger selling them. You see certain people on the cover from hip hop standing there. And
yeah,
that's all the chicks with the.
I remember Snoop Dogg had his own.
Snoop had his
own adult film thing going on.
Oh, really?
And Luke,
all them. Yeah, he had his own, adult film DVD.
Yo, we gotta talk about Luke too.
Luke, where them girls at? Luke, where them girls
at? Oh, we should have brought that up because he received a lot of backlash back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Khalid Muhammad was trying to get at him too.
Who?
Khalid Muhammad, rest in peace. The late Dr. Khalid Muhammad said, if I got a chance to catch him on stage, I'll whip them girls with belts on stage. And
oh yeah, and pimps too. But you know,
we could have talked about the pimp culture and all of that. We could have talked about Iceberg Slim and
man, yo, hold on, don't say too much. We're gonna have to.
That's right. We're gonna say that.
Yeah.
Let's taking it back.
Yo, it's so much to talk about with this. But anyway, we're cutting out, man. Thanks for checking out the live. We were supposed to have the science to credit, but something happened, emergency with the brother. Pardon me. We we'll have him on next week. We're gonna drop Santeria video, premiere that I think Saturday, and then we're gonna be talking about Scientology Sunday at 7:00.
Santeria. A lot of people ask about the occult show. That's coming back soon. We're gonna have all that Santeria to voodoo, numerology, all that's coming.
Yeah, yes.
I'm giving out tips too how to protect yourself with prayers.
Oh, that'll be dope.
Got you with some candle stuff. I got you.
That'll be dope. Yo, we're out of here. Peace to everybody. Hey, hit this the how do you, I don't even know how to say it. The super chat,
subscribe, share, comment,
subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. And we're out of here.
Spiritual books to get your white magic, get your black magic, get your all your good stuff.